Ladies and gentlemen, proceeding to the next agenda, let us welcome Ms. Rebecca Ellis, Energy Policy Manager from International Hydropower Association, to deliver the first keynote presentation on sustainable hydropower development to reach global net zero targets. Ms. Rebecca Ellis is currently leading the research and policy team's work on market and finance policy. She follows hydropower development in Central and Southern Asia and supported the policy and markets work packages for the International Forum on Pumped Hydropower, Storage Hydropower. However, due to the different time, Ms. Rebecca has pre-recorded her presentation. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's watch the presentation from her.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be joining you today at the China-ASEAN Clean Energy Capacity Building Program 2022 Exchange Project on Sustainable Hydropower Development. My name is Rebecca Ellis. I'm an Energy Policy Manager at the International Hydropower Association, and today I'll be speaking on sustainable hydropower development to reach our global net zero targets. I'm so delighted to be joining this program today to talk more about that. So, who is the IJ? What are we? We are an international trade association. We have a network of members, over 100 plus members in 120 plus countries. We represent over a third of the installed global capacity. And as part of that, we have a mission to advance sustainable hydropower. And we work to build and share knowledge networks, and we seek to deliver on our mission through advocacy, research, and policy initiatives, and championing sustainable good practices. And as part of that, we've had a number of initiatives to promote this, and including the San Jose Declaration on Sustainable Hydropower, which outlines the fundamental principle for hydropower sector to play its best role in the clean energy transition as a clean, green, modern, and affordable source of electricity and responsible water management. In addition, we've also supported the Hydropower Sustainability Standard in a secretariat role. It offers a comprehensive, evidence-based, and transparent methodology to certify hydropower projects for their sustainability performance. And that's and the standard was launched by the Sustainability Council, and it's a multi-stakeholder governance body. So more on hydropower today. And then looking forward to the future. So global hydropower installed capacity at the end of 2021, we had 4 countries who were responsible for more than half of the world's installed capacity. This includes China, Brazil, US, and Canada. And there's significantly more in the pipeline, 132 gigawatts in construction, and then over 400 in various stages of planning and pre-feasibility studies, announcements, etc. But significantly more is needed if we're going to meet our net zero targets. We need to double the existing installed capacity today to meet net zero in the future. And so there's significantly more that is needed. And so unfortunately, hydropower development is growing, but it's not fast enough. We need more and more if we're going to support net zero. So over 2020 to 2021, we saw an increase of 1.9% year on year, up 4 gigawatts compared to the 2020 figure. We saw an increase in pumped storage hydropower by 3.3% compared to the 2020 figure. Significantly, most of that is coming from China. Only China is really keeping up with the pace of net zero pathway. Other countries are, of course, and have indicated that they have strongly encouraged hydropower and including it, but China is really keeping up the pace and seeing the importance there. So in addition to the overall storage capacity, overall hydropower installed capacity, pumped storage hydropower has increased, and at present China has the largest amount, 36 as of end of 2021, but that figure was quickly out of date for 2022, including the 3.6 gigawatt Fengying pumped storage hydropower project that provided green energy to support the Beijing Winter Olympics this past year. And there's huge ambition in China, and I have noted that as well, that many countries are starting to consider pumped storage hydropower targets and hydropower targets. So I would strongly encourage including those hydropower targets in policy recommendations and policy targets as a means to de-risk projects. So we're starting to see it, but more is needed in that sense. So the question is, why do we need more hydropower? We indicated that more is needed for net zero. So what does this actually mean in effect? So why water and energy? Well, as we need to electrify so much in the coming decades, we're going to see for net zero by 2050, 3 times the electricity that's needed from 2021 as 2050. Fossil fuel generation should decrease over this time. And as we look to the chart number to the right, that electricity generation chart, we're seeing that as wind and solar increase, we're also seeing a substantial increase in hydropower. So, and hydropower is the largest and will be the backbone of flexible generation, renewable energy generation, flexible dispatchable generation in that sense. So, but how do we do this? How do we replace this flexible fossil fuel generation? And why do we do it? Well, the electricity system has already started to change, and it's going to change even more so as we increase the amount of variable renewable energy on the system. So as we see from a grid in April 2010 compared to April 2020, we see that as there's been significantly more photovoltaics coming online, there's been an increasing need for ramping up and down. So that rapid rollout of variable renewable energy is already having a stark impact on the electricity systems. And pump storage hydropower is increasingly playing that ancillary services role to balance the grid. And some of those services will include spinning and fast ramping, frequency control, reactive power control, and rotating inertia. So actually maintaining the frequency by continuing to spin. So we see this in reduced system inertia overall. So as more and more renewable energy is penetrating the system, we're seeing inertia overall decreasing. And so inertia, just to go over that, is that self-healing stabilization effect that has on the grid. It resists the drop in frequency. So when a power plant drops, the turbines will continue to roll, and we can artificially replace this with batteries as they're quite fast responsive, but it's not quite the same as that kinetic inertia that just continues with the turbine. So hydropower has this and is able to provide this as needed. And we'll definitely see, as more renewable energy comes online, a decrease in overall system inertia. So how can we make up for this? And as more thermal plants go offline, this will also decrease the amount of inertia. So very, very important. So hydropower has an immensely important role rather in the clean energy transition to support that wind and solar growth, as indicated in the ancillary services, that ramping up and down of wind and solar when there's periods of wind drought, dunkelflaut, as well as, it just gets dark outside, nighttime. And we want to be able to store any excess wind or solar to avoid curtailment of these wonderful assets, providing large energy storage capacity, so avoiding that, and long durations as well, of course, providing inertia and other ancillary services, reducing the need for operating reserves from high carbon coal and gas, and of course black start capability. Hydropower is one of the very few technologies that can provide black start technologies. So the real question becomes, what if we don't build new hydropower? What does this look like? Why do we need to build new hydropower? Well, if we don't, hydropower, first and foremost, is less polluting than fossil fuel alternatives. It provides that long-term storage and flexibility, as we noted. But as we outlined in that 850 plus report that we launched in 2021 to look at the potential for hydropower in the pipeline and why we need to build more hydropower, we found that if we didn't build this, and if we instead built coal plants, this would be the equivalent of 2.6 billion tons of CO2, or the equivalent of India's annual carbon emissions. And if you instead built new gas, it'd be the equivalent of Japan's CO2 annual emissions. So it substantially increases the amount of CO2 emissions if we don't build new hydropower, if we instead rely on coal or natural gas. Lithium-ion batteries and other short-term electrochemical batteries are very important and will play a very, very important role for shorter duration, so e.g. less than 4 hours of storage. But that longer duration is very, very critical, and hydropower can play that role not only in the seconds, but also in the hours and hours, and you can store that water for an indefinite amount of time, essentially. And while CCUS could potentially be a fantastic resource, it's not been deployed at scale. Green hydrogen should when it becomes more commercially available, it should be used for hard to abate sectors like commercial shipping or steel, etc. And so that will increase the growth and demand for other areas. So there's a potential huge and very important role for hydropower to play in that flexibility, but also ensuring that we don't build new coal or natural gas. And what we've seen from the World Energy Outlook is that that pumped storage hydropower in particular is the largest form of flexible generation. It provided, as of 2020, over 90%, I believe like 95% of the installed grid capacity for global energy storage. And that number did decrease, that percentage did decrease in 2021 as there was a significant amount of battery storage plants that came online, but pumped storage hydropower still makes up the backbone of many countries and flexibility. And it will continue to play a very important role, which is why we need more of it. So, and this actually is backed by the findings of the International Forum on Pumped Storage Hydropower that found that without adequate storage, there's a very real risk that the electricity grids of the future will not be able to provide reliable power without recourse to high carbon power sources of backup, such as gas turbines. And if you'd like to find out more information about the International Forum on Pumped Storage Hydropower and its working groups and its findings, those are all free and publicly available on either the International Forum on Pumped Storage Hydropower website or the IHA website. And those three working groups were policy and markets, capabilities, costs, and innovations, as well as sustainability. And I would encourage all of you to check out those reports because they're fantastic. So where in the world can we build it? We understand there's a significant need and there's a significant role for hydropower to avoid coal and natural gas, as well as curtailment of variable renewable energy. So where's the potential? So as part of the 850+ report, we looked at potential in the pipeline, as well as the potential based on academic findings, and that methodology is publicly available as well. And we found there's immense opportunities, and ASEAN, you'll be pleased to know that in East Asia and the Pacific, there's huge amounts of both installed capacity, but the remaining potential gigawatts in the pipeline are enormous. So there are huge potential opportunities for new hydropower in East Asia and the Pacific, as well as Central and South Asia, Africa, and even in areas like North and Central America, as well as Europe, where there's already a large amount of installed hydropower, but there's still a significant potential there if of interest. And these are all greenfield sites, I should note. And when it comes to the potential for pumped storage, there's still huge potential there. So when we look at the global hydropower potential, the researchers at the Australian National University did a global atlas for off-river pumped storage hydropower and found that it has immense potential. They found over 600,000 sites, and not all of those will be feasible, of course, we recognize that, but even 1 or 10% of those were potentially used for storage, that it would provide immense grid support. And they recently actually published the findings of their bluefield storage. So this is where they found there was an existing 1 reservoir to a pair. So, and they've launched the maps for Malaysia and Australia, but more maps are in process there. And so, and that GIS data is free and publicly available from the ANU website. In addition to greenfield sites, there's a very important role in global hydropower potential for modernization. So assessing the scope for retrofitting of existing plants and assets. And globally, 600 gigawatts, so nearly half of the installed capacity, is over 30 years old. And why should ASEAN and China invest in modernization? Well, it's low impact, it's quick win, it's an increased energy, and it's increased flexibility, and it's an important opportunity for climate resilience, improving climate resilience, especially in areas where that may be prone in the future or currently to drought or flooding. It's an opportunity to do a whole river basin analysis and try and improve the asset's life and the community's life, and looking at how we can improve that asset for climate resilience. So it's an opportunity to have a quick win, because it won't take as long, hopefully, and it's low impact because the asset's already in existence. So I'll leave you with these recommendations. Of course, there's so much more I could talk about given the time. All hydropower needs to be done sustainably. And sustainability should be at the core of all hydropower projects. And we would encourage the IHA widespread adoption of the Hydropower Sustainability Standard as recognized by other international bodies, and if not that, the equivalent. And certifying and recognizing good practice in hydropower preparation, implementation, and operation is a critical way of proving sustainability of a project. And, apologies, but too quickly. Encouraging and incentivizes the continuous improvement, maintaining strong credibility. This is able to maintain strong credibility then of the site and ensures more transparency in the quality because it's done through independent assessments. Where possible, planning and regulation should be done in a proportionate and streamlined process, because much of the delay in projects actually taking place are due to issues around planning and permitting. As I noted previously, maximizing existing infrastructure is going to be critically important. How can we invest in modernization? How can we assess the scope for retrofitting? If you're especially interested in modernization and potential co-location of assets like floating solar to prevent evaporation or batteries, we have a project that we're involved in known as the X-Flex Hydro project. It's a European Horizon 2020 funded project. It's a fantastic initiative, and it's looking at modernization of some European sites. Check it out, it's a great website. And lastly, where possible, finance. We need to recognize the additional benefits of hydro. Governments and regulators can and should be doing this. They should be providing long-term visibility of revenues. How can they do that? Through providing access to long-term energy service agreements or capacity mechanisms, means to actually to provide that business case for projects going forward. And of course, remunerating for ancillary services. If a project is doing something, it should be remunerated for that, providing that service. So I'll leave with those things, but I very much appreciate the opportunity to speak with you in brief today, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for Ms. Rebecca for giving us amazing sharing knowledge. And next, in the second keynote presentation, we would gladly welcome Dr. Zheng Cheng'an, Secretary General of China Society for Hydropower Engineering, to deliver the presentation on China's practice in environmental, community, and safety approaches for hydropower development. Dr. Zheng Cheng'an is a well-known hydropower expert that engaged in hydropower engineering design, scientific research, and management, and he led and completed the engineering designs of dozens hydropower stations such as Silodu Hydropower Station on Jingsha River, Jinping-yi Hydropower Station, and many more. So without further delay, please, Dr. Zheng, the time is yours.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's really my pleasure to join you here at this session to share Chinese practices and the development of hydropower. I'm Zheng Cheng'an. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yes, my presentation comes in 3 components. 1 page further. Next page, please. In part 1, I will briefly talk about the hydropower development status quo in China. Well, China is one of the countries with the richest endowment for hydropower. As of September this year, the hydropower contributed 363 million kilowatt to the total installed capacity, and the pumped storage reached 43 gigawatt. Well, next slide. For China to reach its net zero carbon goal, we would need to build a new system of power network that requires us to readjust our energy mix. Because of the lack of natural gas in China's natural reserves, we will not be able to follow the same path as European countries and America. We would need to give full play to our own strengths, that is hydropower capacity, and particularly including the pumped storage capacity. So we would need to also encourage innovative and complementary development of hydropower, wind power, and PV as well. For existing hydropower stations, we would need to build onto transmission channels, hydropower regulation capacity to properly plan our renewable energy in an integrated manner. For those newly built hydropower stations, we would need to follow the principle of maximizing the development of a new form of energy in an integrated manner. So we are already planning hydropower stations with pumped storage capacity in an integrated manner. Next slide. For pumped storage, next. Firstly, pumped storage would function as a pillar to large-scale energy storage facilities as a support to the new power system. And secondly, it would function as a core support for large-scale new energy bases in the southwestern part of China as well as the northwestern part of China. We have rich hydro resources, but not sufficient solar and wind. We are exploring the ways to build energy bases in an integrated manner. And thirdly, also drive local economic development along the way. But currently, China's own hydropower development has its own contradictions or challenges. Firstly, we have a next slide. We have a needs for ecological preservation and environmental protection, as well as the safe management of hydropower stations. Secondly, the economy of many of the untapped hydropower resources in the upstream is actually, particularly in the downstream, is declining. And thirdly, for China to further develop hydropower, environment, social, and ecological challenges are still going to remain for our years ahead. So we would need to keenly follow these next slide, laws and legislations in place in further pursuing hydropower development. China's legal system consists of several tiers: constitution, laws, administrative regulations, and local regulations. When it comes to standards, we have national, industrial, local, group, and enterprises standards. Next slide. On the legislation side, China has enacted laws on safety, environment, and social impact, and all of these laws are formulated and issued by the Standing Committee of National People's Congress according to due legislative procedures. Taking, for instance, the engineering safety of hydropower stations need to follow the legal provisions in flood control law and work safety law. And for those environmental elements of hydropower stations, we would need to follow the environmental protection law and the wetland law. Next slide. On regulations, China formulated regulations on environment, safety, and social impact. And they are formulated by the State Council. I've also provided a list of some of these regulations. For instance, regulations on the safety management of reservoirs and dams, the regulations on compensation and resettlement of large and medium-sized water conservancy and hydropower projects are specifically designed for hydropower projects. Additionally, China has introduced full life cycle management standards for hydropower projects. Next slide. For instance, I have indicated here the guide for sustainable assessment of hydropower projects, among many others. Generally speaking, China has put in place a series of laws, regulations, and standards on environment, safety, and social impact. And all of these provisions and requirements are highly aligned with the international practice, and particularly for safety standards, our requirements are quite well aligned with the international practice. But when it comes to indicators or the ways that different articles are drafted under these standards, they may not always be the same as the international standards. Now I'd like to move on to the next slide to introduce the hydropower management practice. Let me start by looking into the life cycle of hydropower projects with planning, designing, construction, and operation phases. And currently, decommissioning efforts are managed under operation phase. And at each step of the life cycle, we would have related efforts looking into environment and safety next, and social aspects. So next slide, on planning stage, we have river development planning and site planning. For river development planning, the focus of our operation is to look into what the water energy resources, ecological protection, the reservoir endowment, engineering safety, and local economic development in the planning process. The also entire planning process is led by the government and has to be approved by the government. Next slide. During the designing phase, our priority is to look into technical, safety, economic, social, and ecological aspect, and eventually deliver the feasibility study based on all of these analysis. And usually it's the project owner who commissions the design institute to complete the design report, and then this report will need to be reviewed by a third-party agency and should be reported to the government as well. Before we review, confirm, and start the project of a hydropower station, specific topics on safety, on hazard, on environment need to be separately reported and reviewed by different authorities. For instance, when it comes to resettlement plans, we would need to have a separate review with the local governments. For the environment impact assessment of the project, it needs to be reviewed by the Environmental Authority of China. During construction phase, on next slide, we would need to also look at different things. Firstly, to ensure safety operations, it is the project owner's responsibility. The government is responsible for supervision, and this supervision is reflected in two aspects. During the construction phase, the government would entrust an independent third party to carry out regular and random checks on the project quality, and also at the key stages of the project. For instance, interception water storage, the completion of the hydro hub, and the project completion, would be acceptance criteria established and checked during these key milestones. And when it comes to environment management, on the next slide, the project owners are responsible for the delivery of environment management responsibilities. The government may entrust the third parties or rely on its own offices to carry out monitoring or supervision to ensure that environment management is duly monitored. And also, the environmental aspect need to be reviewed and checked by, next slide, please. One page further, next. When it comes to resettlement implementation, the entity that is responsible for resettlement is a bit different. It is the government instead of the project owner who lead the resettlement. The resettlement plan need to engage extensively the stakeholders concerned, including those who need to be resettled or the companies that got affected, and the plan would need to be reviewed and accepted by the government. Next slide. During the operation phase, the top priority are dam safety monitoring, diagnosis on abnormalities, and operation management. Project owners are responsible for the safe operation of the dams, but on the government side, we have established dam safety data to carry out regular inspections on the safety of the dam. And the government would need to also keep on file the emergency management plans of each dam, so that when an emergency occurred, the government would coordinate different emergency response efforts. Next slide. On environment management, we are mainly relying on ecological scheduling, fish crossing facilities. Next slide. Artificial breeding and releasing, fish habitat protection, and ecological restoration efforts in ensuring minimize the environmental impact of the hydropower station on the environment. And we have also been basing our actions on the Yangtze River ecological preservation, on having special reviews of small-scale hydropower stations. For those small projects that could compromise environment or the ecosystem, they are either being restored or demolished. Next slide. So next slide on resettlement. Our main focus is on improvement of community environment, infrastructure improvement, later stage support, and industry support, as well as skill training to help those resettled communities to enjoy solid prospect of economic development, so that the livelihoods of the local residents can be properly ensured. Next slide. So all in all, to grow hydropower stations sustainably, you need to coordinate.
We really need to strike a balance between environment, social impact, and safety. At the current stage, we are working really hard to improve our work. Recently, we are compiling a special environment, social impact, environment related indicators covering the whole life cycle of the hydropower projects. It is going to be a kind of law level, legal document that will control the environment impact, security, and community impact. Okay, that's all from me. I really hope this will be a successful event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your exchange knowledge and experience, Dr. Zhang. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the next agenda of today, I would like to invite Ms. Ngop Wang Jiangvu, Associate Research Analyst of ASEAN Center for Energy, to moderate the first forum on the topic of environmental protection and social safeguard. Ms. Ngop Wang Jiangvu has been involved deeply in the research of renewable energy, electric vehicles, and smart grid technology, and while joining ASEAN Center for Energy, she is responsible for conducting many researches related to the topic of sustainability, renewable energy, and energy efficiency. Now, please, Ms. Giang, over to you.
Thank you so much, Faricha, for your kind introductions. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, and distinguished guests, my name is Zhang. I am currently Associate Research Analyst from ASEAN Center for Energy. So it's my extreme honor to be here as a moderator for the first sections of today's event. I would like to introduce the proposed sections, the first sections for today. We are going to discuss about the effective tool for environmental protections and social safeguard for sustainable hydropower development, and case studies and experiences among China and ASEAN hydropower projects developments are going to be presented and serve as a reference and examples for other ASEAN member states in terms of safety regulations and environmental impact assessment for hydropower plants. So about the topic one of these sections, we will have two main parts. So after my introductions about the sections, the first part will be the presentations and sharing of environmental protections and social safeguards for hydropower plants projects delivered by representatives from China Renewable Energy Engineering Institute, CRE, and Hydropower Lower Sedan 2 Company Limited. Each presenter will have 15 minutes to deliver their talk, so please be mindful about your allotted time. And after the presentations of two speakers, we will move on to the discussions, a very quick Q&A sections, which is expected to last for 20 minutes. So in these sections, all the participants who are watching this event virtually can give the questions to the speaker through the Q&A chat box. And I, as a moderator, will return those questions to the speakers to answer. So without any further ado, let us move on to the first presentations of the first sections today. I would like to welcome Mr. Xue Lianghuang, Deputy Chief Engineer and Director from China Renewable Energy Engineering Institute, to deliver the first presentations about effective tool for environmental protections and social safeguard, the integrated monitor of Beijing hydropower stations. Mr. Xue, the floor is yours now. Mr. Xue, can you hear me? Currently, I cannot see your video and I cannot hear your voice.
Mr. Xue is connecting. Just wait
好
a
像那
second.
个好
There
像
is
声音
some
还没进过来，
technical issue with us, so please wait a second. Thank you so very much.
视频打开了。
Mr. Xue, can you hear me?
So my topic is the integrated monitoring of hydro stations in the basin. It is a sustainable development method. And we actually have an evaluation guideline of hydropower and sustainable improvement of hydropower stations. They constitute a sustainable integrated system for hydro development. Next page. Thank you. I will cover 3 topics: the monitoring needs and objectives, overview of monitoring system functions and roles. Next. Currently, I want to talk about the needs. Just now, Director General Zheng said that China's hydro installed capacity is more than 400 gigawatt. And in the basin, we have laid a preliminary foundation for hydropower development in river basins. But also we don't have rich data support for basin-based operation. Currently, we were operating independent hydropowers, but now when we have multiple stations along a river in a basin, they're all connected. Therefore, we need to have a basin-wide monitoring and management system to gradually improve the efficiency. Next. We can see the NEA of China and MEE of China advocate the integrated hydro station monitoring system. So all the hydropowers will be uniformly standardized and planned and built. And we will have information sharing and allow the stakeholders to make experiments and exploration. The purpose of the monitoring system is to reinforce the full life cycle management of hydropower development and operation, support the coordinated operation and dispatching management of hydropower in the basin, optimize the operation of cascade power stations and improve the hydropower utilization rate, grasp the ecological environment and improve environmental protection measures, generate enough data so on one dashboard we can understand the construction and operation progress of all hydropowers in China, and with one single dashboard to understand how each station is operating and monitor the basin-wide ecological changes. So to, in real time, monitor the resettlement situation, the local environment impact, safety concerns, and use the system to push information to project owners, the local governments, local authorities, so the companies can better dispatch power transmission and optimize their management system. Next. The second part is the components of the integrated management system. It has two parts. One is routine integrated monitoring. The other one is the integrated monitoring of pumped hydro stations. And for the routine management include hydropower utilization, ecological safety, basin-wide security, resettlement, and social economics. For the pumped hydro monitoring, we manage the operation of the power transmission system and operation effect evaluation. Next. Now, I want to tell you more about the composition of the system. So first, we will have a strong database system. In this database, first, we have all the power stations and the nearby terrain and the geographic GIS information all put into a big database. Then we share the data from other hydrological, meteorological, environmental ministers monitoring data. They share the data with us. And also, for all our hydro stations, we have installed all kinds of sensors and equipment. We use terrestrial, air-based, and space-based monitoring system. For example, in the base, we have satellite remote sensing. We have aerial UAVs to monitor the local changes. We have terrestrial sensors. All the data would be aggregated into our central platform. In that central platform, they can process the data. They also have all kinds of simulation models. So at the back end, you can extract monthly report, bulletin report, monthly report, quarterly report, and annual report. The pool reports will be sent to the general public, government authorities, and project owners. So based on the information, they can optimize the dispatch and the transmission and operation of the hydro stations, or to improve the local environment protection work or help local governments better manage. Next. Now, I want to show you the database system. We have space, temporal, and the business-based system. For the spatial system, we have the basically the power station to basin to region and the whole country. For the temporal dimension, we have a planning and design phase, engineering construction phase, and engineering operation phase. And for the factor dimension, we have water environment, aquatic ecology, terrestrial ecology, and ecogeology. These are the components of the local ecology. And for the business dimension, we have engineering, environmental, management, and social systems. Next, please. Currently, in our system, we already have data acquisition to data storage, data processing, and data reports. Currently, for the ecological monitoring and the water use reports system are very mature already. And for hydro safety and resettlement, social impact modules are being built. Next. And here you can see his connection is frozen. Let's wait. The connection is frozen. Let's wait for him.
Dear all excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Mr. Xue is back. Can you hear me?
Okay, again, for this page. So in our system, we have a web application platform. We also have mobile app platform. So our project owners or managers or authorities, they can use the platform to inquire information, for example, real-time operation water utilization level at each station and the local environment impact. Next. Next one, the third part, I will talk about the functions and modules. Just now, we said that we can use one chart or one dash table to understand the operation of all power stations in China. With this monitoring system, in real time, we can understand the inflow, water level, and outflow of each station, monitor the power generation level, power transmission level, and hydropower utilization rate. With the data, we can send the data back to the operators and the managers and the power dispatching authorities to maximize the use of water, especially during the flooding season when there's a major inflow from the upper stream. If we have other hydro stations along the same river body, then they can coordinate with each other, for example, to generate more power to accommodate more inflow of water. Next. Also, with this system, we are able to predict and give early warning for water inflow for the next few months. We are able to forecast for the next 6 months in terms of water inflow level and the power generation level. The weather forecast system will be pushed to the government authorities and the project owners, so they will have the baseline data. Next, please. And you can see we have an annual report, monthly report, quarterly report, and briefing report. Okay, his connection is frozen.
Dear all ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, Mr. Thank you so much for your kind operations.
For the time being, we still don't hear from the speaker, Mr. Xue.
Mr. Xue to give his presentation from our meeting room. So could you please, next slide, please. So here we can find that this is the system function and roles which the whole system can play. It will develop into 3 parts: the earthquake monitoring data, as well as the power station distribution operation data, and the special analyzed, which focused on the operation monitoring. And this connects systematic monitoring data in real time to quickly retrieve the power station around the epicenter and release earlier warning information through monitoring system. You can also use the mobile phone to receive the text message to have the monitoring on time.
老师，下一个教导。
So, 薛总，您可以讲了。
Now we have Mr. Xu here with us. Next slide, please. Thank you. Great. For ecology and environment, we mainly monitor two things. Firstly, the ecological status and the environmental facilities installed in hydropower stations, so that we will be able to keep managing the environmental performance of the station and coordinate the need of operation and of the station and the environment. Next slide. While moving to specific cases, in the upstream of Yellow River, we have built on top of the existing system to add monitoring functions of water flow, water quality, metrology, fish passing, and the online monitoring of the water quality. Next. By utilizing these function of panoramic photos and the three-dimensional modules of each project, we will be able to demonstrate the performance of environmental status, social benefits, and the flow discharge of each station. So it provides us with a holistic view of the performance of each station. And all of these data would reveal the station's contribution on flood control, on power generation, and the poverty alleviation as well. In the past, we know that such dams or power stations worked actually a lot in preventing floods. But now with data support, we will be able to show how much this dam has managed to contribute to flood control. Next slide. Next, we talked about the fact that we are able to monitor water temperature, water quality of a reservoir. We also have a satellite imaging to keep track of terrestrial and water body as well. And next slide. Next. Further next. That was the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Xue, and also Ms. Muzi, for your very excellent and very comprehensive presentations. I think despite the connections problem, I still think this is a very good presentation to let us learn more about the integrated moderating system for basin-based hydropower plants. So I would like to sum up some keynotes from the presentations, and also so first, based on like the urgent need to have a systematic data support, and with the considerations of ecological and environmental protections, and also the increase of the installed capacity in the hydropower plants in China. So the integrated monitoring system is established to unify all the hydropower plants together into a very holistic, connected network to extend the hydropower life cycle and optimize the operations, and also consider the ecological and environmental protections. So with the four dimensions of basin hydropower monitoring system, as mentioned by Mr. Xue, where we have like the data acquisitions of different hydropower plants, also the storage, data storage for forecast, analysis, and early warning and applications in real time. The outcome of this system are the annual, monthly, and report, which is very essential for the decision-making process and optimizing the operations and scheduling hydropower stations, and be wary of some potential danger during the operations of the plants as well. So, besides the technical aspect of the monitoring of a basin-based hydropower, the ecological and environmental elements is also considered in this system. It can be proved by the constructions of environmental and ecological facilities, and also the accompanying monitoring work, and the positive impact for this moderating system for the environment is the sustainable energy transitions and marine life protections by measuring and assessing the temperature and the flow of the body water. And for that, it's also improve and eradicate poverty, flood control, and enhance the economic development in the surrounding area of the hydropower plants. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for your presentations. Now I would like to introduce to Ms. He Sui Jiang from Hydropower Lower Season 2 Company Limited to present environmental protections and social safeguard, technology and applications, and project case sharing. Mr. He, the floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my great honor to be part of this event. I'm a member of Huanan Hydropower Lower Season 2 Company in the Kingdom of Cambodia. Next, please allow me to introduce about some of my experience in the Lower Season 2 hydropower plant. The plant is located on the main stream of the Sesan River. Okay, next page, please. It is a tributary of the Mekong River in Stangdlan Province, Cambodia. It was jointly funded and constructed by China Huanan Group, Royal Group Cambodia, and Vietnam Power Cambodia Company. The power generation capacity of the power plant accounts for 14% of Cambodia's total installed power generation capacity. Next page. The total installed capacity of the Lower Season 2 hydropower plant is 400,000 kilowatts, accounting for about 20% of Cambodia's total power generation capacity. It adopts 8 sets of 15,000 kilowatt bomb tubular flow units, and the average annual power generation is 1.97 billion kilowatt hour. Yes, the third page. Next one. Yes, thank you. The BOT mode is adopted during the development of the hydropower plant, and the construction period is 5 years and will be handed over to the Cambodian government 14 years after commercial operation. Next page, please. This plant is currently the largest hydropower plant in the Kingdom of Cambodia. Its dam is 6.5 kilometers long and is one of the longest dams in Asia. The construction and operation has adopted Made in China in international standard advanced technology, and rich experience in hydropower projects to serve the Cambodian people. It is a key construction project of China, Cambodia Belt and Road Energy Corporation. Next page. This one is about our camp. We can see in 2015, we just started construction, and 2016, we live in the jungle, and 2017, we just starting cleaning the woods, and 2019, just water storage. Okay, next. When it comes to the story between our plant and Cambodia, there are 4 aspects that make me most proud. You can, yes. The first one provides safe, stable, and high quality power. The EDC awarded the Excellent Power Generation Enterprise Award to our plant, commending the power plant for its highly professional and responsible spirit and the continuous supply of stable and reliable clean power in Cambodia. Second, activity fulfills social responsibilities. Hydropower Losses on 2 company was awarded a certificate by the Ministry of Mines and Energies of Cambodia for its social contribution. The award recognized that the company constructed and completed Lower Season 2 hydropower project on schedule and built infrastructures such as roads and bridges to facilitate daily traveling of the local community residents. Third, training model power engineers for Cambodia. In less than 2 years since the plant officially entered commercial operation, 22 power engineers have been trained for Cambodia. And the last one, together against COVID-19. During the severe pandemic, the Chinese and Cambodia employees of the company still stay at the site to carry out maintenance and ensure power production and make every effort to ensure the continuous and stable of energy in Cambodia. Here are some reports from Cambodia's Khmer Times on the company. This is a report on the construction of the power plant to promote the development of surrounding agriculture. Next one. And this one is about our plant protects the environment and provides clean energy. The completed fishway is located at a natural gully about 1 kilometer downstream on the right of the power station, with a total length of 3,293 meters and a maximum water level difference of 26.5 meters. On October 5, 2020, the Ministry of Agriculture, Forest and Fisheries and our company released 50,000 fish from the plant. Next one, this one is about our company attaches great importance to staff development. And these 3 are our Cambodia staff. Okay, next one. This one is about we help each other during the COVID-19. Okay, next one. Many important people and departments have visited the power station, including Deputy Prime Minister, Chairman of the Cambodia Senate Committee, and Secretary of State for the Ministry of Environmental Protection, and so on. Next one. And also, there are many students came to the power station to visit and study, such as Cambodia National Technical Training School and Northern University, and so on. Our experienced, no, oh yes, our experienced Chinese master signed the China-Cambodia staff mutual training agreement with Cambodian staffs. And even our Chinese CCTV financial channel has reported our Cambodian employees too. Okay, next page. We also spent some festivals with them, including the March 8th festival, and organized a fundraising event to fight against the floods. And we built some open air cinema. Our company was awarded a certificate by Cambodian government for our social contribution. And this year was awarded again. Please click. Yes, this year we, okay, next page. The thing that sticks in my mind the most is at local time 8 a.m. and December 7th, 2018. Prime Minister Hun Sen of the Kingdom of Cambodia attended the completion ceremony. The Chinese, okay, next page. Yes, this is me with Hun Sen, Mr. Hun Sen. Okay, next page. The Chinese embassy in Cambodia selected 10 major events in the 2019 exchange and cooperation between China and Cambodia. The news hydropower lower season 2 station put into operation was selected as one of them. Next page, please. And this one is about we spent Chinese New Year together. Next page. And we do some running game. This is, yeah, Happy New Year game. Okay. And we do some dumplings, make some dumplings. Next page. Yeah, this is in our camp, and we plant many trees together and protect our home together. Okay, although the current development of the international epidemic is still complicated and changeable, no matter how the epidemic develops in the future, China Huanan is always willing to help and supporting the Cambodian people to fight the epidemic and tide over the difficulty together. Okay, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jing, for your very exciting presentations. I believe that after hearing you deliver the talk, we can have some very keynotes, such as your presentations is the introductions to the lower season 2 hydropower plant located in Mekong River in Cambodia. This is considered like the largest hydropower in this country. The constructions start in 2015 and officially complete in 8 a.m. on 17 December. So there are some main goals for the constructions of the hydropower plant that I can see in your presentations. First, I think is the most important that to provide reliable energy source in Cambodia, and as well as during the operations of the plant, you also engage in social corporate responsibility activities to the local communities nearby the hydropower plants to promote sustainable development and ensuring the economic empowerment of the surrounding area. Next, it's also very essential is like the capacity building for the professionals and engineer, providing trainings and like brushing up as essential skills for them, and to ensure the smooth operations of the hydropower plants. And we cannot forget to mention that your company is also work in earnest to fight against the global pandemic COVID-19. And the positive outcomes of the constructions of these hydropower plants in Cambodia is the agriculture development is enhanced, as well as the environmental protections and the protections of the fishery, and also the power plants also provide clean energy in Cambodia, and it can be shown in numerous news on the articles on the newspaper. So and one thing I'm very impressed by your company also is like you also have some engaging activities with the employees. I believe that that can motivate their spirit and do better in their work. Well, once again, thank you so much for your presentations. Now I think we will have a very short time for the Q&A sections. First, I would like to invite Mr. Xue Liangfang again to join the discussions. So I received questions from the participants that regarding your integrated moderating system. This is the questions from Sigit Herwanto, one of our participants. They asked, is it possible that the applications of integrated moderating system can be connected with the local rain stations? Mr. Xue, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear my questions clearly? Do I need to repeat it? I think Mr. Stray is having some problem with the connections. Maybe we can wait.
So we are connecting with Mr. Xue, and he will do the question.
这个是我们主要接的是
您直接在电话上说就行，薛哥。
我们现在有一种监测系统。
So the integrated system will connect with all the stations, power stations. You are talking about the rain stations or other hydrology or meteorological stations. We only connect with a very few number of them, not a lot. Some projects, they may locally have their own connection if they can connect with the local stations. That's all. Very few number, not many.
Thank you so much for the questions. I really hope that the answers from Mr. Xue can answer your questions in the Q&A chat box. So I think I have another questions from Mr. Xue as well. So I think that from your presentations, I see that one of the critical elements of the integrated monitoring system is the database from the connected hydropower plants. So during the operations of the system, from your perspective, what is the difficulties or the main challenges in gathering this informations to comprise to like construct the database.
Yes, exactly. For the database operation, I think the biggest difficulty is that the hydropower operation data must be securely and stably and accurately transmitted to the database at the back office. So first, I really want to thank National Energy Administration as a government ministry, the NEA of China and the MEE of China as two central ministries. They are sort of pushing this. And secondly, I really want to thank the owners of the hydropower stations. They support us fully, otherwise we cannot get the data. So we have the data, and then the issue is an internet connection issue, whether you're able to transmit and acquire the data. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the answers. So I believe that the collaborations, not only the governments, but also some non-government companies, utilities, very important in order to gather all the data to construct a very completed, most up-to-date database. The answers is very excellent. Answers, Mike. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sui. And next, I would like to invite Ms. again to join the discussions. I have some participants who are very curious about the hydropower plants in Lower Season 2 in Cambodia. I think I have one question from one of the participants. They said, according to your presentations, how CSAN 2 hydropower plants can manage the social and environmental conditions during when the project is ongoing.
So I mean, the social environment condition, are you talking to managing the project, its impact on local society and environment? I guess that is the intention of the question. So, you know, we are under the COVID restriction, and the whole camp is kind of enclosed. Entry, exit are strictly controlled. You need health clearance. And near around the camp of the hydro station is just a jungle environment. To manage social and environment impact, maybe you can clarify on more specific parts of this question, because just too broad from my point of view.
I believe that maybe from my understanding, questions is more about during the constructions of the hydropower plant. So regarding the, because I believe that during the constructions of hydropower plant, there will be some kind of social and environmental impact to the local community, surrounding areas. So therefore, so how can a company can manage and solve problems during the construction? I hope you understand.
Yeah, and later we will have a communication in the Samsung 2 station. So we are fully welcome that the all the specialists and the researchers can join our site visit together, and we will have a further communication during the site visit. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Muji, for the note.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, let's wait until then.
Okay, I believe that they will have bigger observations when it comes to the site visits. So I think I should move on to the next questions. So what is your company's plan and visions for the upcoming 5 to 10 years for the development of sustainable hydropower in Cambodia or even in ASEAN in general?
According to my understanding, now we start operating this hydropower after 40 years, we will give it back to the Cambodian government. And for future plans, as you have mentioned, we have a site visit. I think we already prepared presentation materials, some roll-ups and the boards. And yeah, we will have some experts to answer the detail. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for your kind answers. And I'm really looking forward that in our site visits next month in Cambodia, we will see, we will be able to hear from the expert and hydropower plan, talk about the next steps and missions for the lower season 2 hydropower. Once again, thank you so much for your presentations and also your participations panel discussions. Also, I would like to thank again Mr. Xue Lingfiang from CRE for your presentations, your kind sharing, experience sharing. I believe that all the inputs, patients gathered throughout our throughout your presentations and also your discussions, important for not only us but also all the participants here watching the events on live on the Zoom webinar. So once again, I would like to close my sections here. So I will thank you so much for your kind operations and attention. I would like to give it the floor back to the MC, Maricha.
Okay, thank you for leading the session with us. Ladies and gentlemen, after this, we will have lunch break and we'll continue the discussion on community development, dam safety management, and other strategic topics on hydropower development to thoroughly understand how to develop the most comprehensive solution for our hydropower system. Hence, please for distinguished excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to rejoin the capacity building 5 minutes before 1 p.m. to get the most benefit out of this event. I wish everyone has delightful and refreshing lunch and see you in the next sessions. Thank you and see you soon.